is Pedro Panga, and I'll be reading from a monologue from a movie. The movie was released in 2009, and the screenwriter is John Krasinski. That's a hard name to pronounce. The title is Brief Interviews with Hideous Men. I'm aware of how all this sounds, and well, imagine judgment you are forming, but if I'm ready to explain this to you, then I have no choice but to be candid. Yes, it was a pickup, plain and simple, and she was what one might call a granola cruncher, a hippie, and she was straight out of Central casting, the scandals, flamboyantly long hair, financially support from parents she revived, and some professed membership to apostrophe heavy Eastern religions that I would defy anyone to pronounce correctly. Look, I'll just bite the political bullet and confess that I classified her as a quickly one-night objective. And that was my interest in her, was due almost entirely to the fact that, yes, she was pretty, she was attractive, she was sexy. And it was really nothing more complicated or novel than that. And having having had some prior dealing with cruncher dinners, I think the one-night proviso was due mostly to the grim, unimaginably of having to talk with her for more than one night. Whether or not you approve, I think we can assume you understand. And there is nothing in the way, a near attempt in the way you can actually saunter over to a blanket and create a sense of connection that will allow you to pick her up. And you almost resent the fact that it's so goddamn easy. How exploitative you feel that it is so easy to get this type of regard you as kind yourself. You almost know what's going to be before she even opens her mouth. Okay, so now we are in my apartment and she begins going out about her religious views, her obscure denominations' views on energy field and connection between souls via what she kept calling focus. And in response to some sort of prompt or association, she begins to relate this anecdote. And in this anecdote, there she is, arch-kicking. Well, she said she knew she was made a mistake the moment she got in the car. An explanation was that she didn't actually feel any energy field until she had shut the doors and they were moving. At this point, it was too late, and she wasn't melodramatic about it, but she described herself as literally paralyzed with terror. It was something about his eyes, she said. She knew instantly in the depth of her soul that this man's intention were to brutally rape, torture, or kill her. And that's by the time the psychotic had exited into a secluded area and actually said what his true intentions were, she wasn't the least bit surprised because she knew that she was going to be just another grisly discovery for some amateur botanist or scout troop a few days later, unless she could focus her way into a soul connection that would probably prevent this man from murdering her. I mean, focus intently on his psychotic and soul and beautiful, albeit romantic person in his own right, rather than merely as threat to her. And I'm well aware that what she is about to describe is nothing more than a variant of a tale. All the love would conquer all, but for the moment, just bracket your content and try to see what she actually was, the courage and the conviction to really attempt here. Because imagine what it must have felt like for her, for anyone, contemplate just how kind, little scared you'd be that this psychotic could bring you to this point simply by wishing it. And now here she is in the car and she's realizing that she's in the biggest struggle of her spiritual life. She stares directly into the psychotic eyes and will herself to keep her gaze on him directly at all times. And the effect of her focus, she knows that when she was able to hold the focus in this psychopath behind the wheel, would gradually stop ranting and become nastily silent. And she wills herself not to worry or plead, but merely to use focus on the opportunity to emphasize. And this was my first hint of sadness. In listening to the anecdote, that I found myself admiring certain qualities in her story that were the same qualities I had been contemptuously of when I first picked her up in the park.